mark. Hello everyone, this is Pretty Awesome here, and today we're going to be doing a video on Half-Life 2, obviously, more specifically on the appreciation of the game Half-Life 2. What I mean by that is, in all different circles of art, you tend to have, even college courses on appreciating art, looking at it from what makes it great, and also, maybe in some cases, what makes it terrible. In this case, Half-Life 2 is one of the, might be one of the best games of all time, just a little teeny humble thing like that. So we're going to take a look at everything from textures, music, sound, art. Well, obviously the whole thing is art because it's a game, and just everything. And I'm going to try and do throughout the entire game, but we'll see how that goes depending on if I start kind of hashing away at the same thing over and over and over again. If it starts to get too repetitive, I'll either skip parts or try and condense things, but for the most part this will be almost in a let's play format. And also quickly, for my background is my background in art comes from music production, music composing. I also did level design for Unreal Tournament way back when it used to be like a big game, and I have been doing film for probably about 6 years, so 7 or 8 years of music and like 5 or 6 years of film. So I do have some experience, not like a huge ton, but I think enough to where I can really understand what's going on. And you don't even have to have all that experience to still understand what's going on. So, yeah, I just figure you might like my perspective on it, and maybe I can show you things in the game that maybe you didn't realize even through many playthroughs, just because you weren't looking at it in that way. Yeah, and we'll go over some gameplay and stuff, but we're mostly going to go over things like the art assets and whatnot. So the great thing about this game is just the intro is perfect. They nailed it so well. I just love how the second everything opens up, it's already very ominous, and you instantly know it's not going to be a pleasant experience. Well, it's a pleasant experience to play, but the universe isn't very pleasant. And you're greeted by an old friend from Half-Life. And the sound design is great because you have all these droney sounds in the background, very dissonant. And pretty creative the way they used the effects with the game, with having him go transparent, black and white, messing with like normal mapping and stuff on his face. Pretty cool. And also reveals some later stuff in the game where you get to go into the huge tower. So pretty cool.
Can make all the difference in the world. So wake up.
Okay, notice how the windows on this train are completely black. Like you can't see anything outside of them. And then flash, bam, all of a sudden you can see everything around you. I wonder if that was just kind of like a limitation of the engine at the time, so they had to do that. But anyways, you're introduced to this train, which is really dilapidated, crappy, and looks old, just old. I mean, at least the seats have some shine to them, but that's about it. And the sound just design is beautiful. Like, oh, gives me boners every time.
This is my third transfer this year. I didn't see you get on. Well, no matter how many times I've been relocated, I get used to it.
Also, even in the beginning when you start to talk to people, he's like, I've been relocated 3 times. So it goes to show that in this universe, or at least the rulers, like this guy right here, the whole Combine moves the general population and people around a lot. And one thing you're also greeted by is that obnoxious frickin' camera thingy. I can never remember the name of it. Anyway, so instantly when you get off the train, you realize you're pretty oppressed. You're greeted by Breen over here, who is on this big screen that is constantly watching you. Yeah. So before we go on, one thing to take note is, what I also enjoy about this game is you can just pretty much look through every nook and cranny, and there's detail. They pack detail into everything. So right off the bat, you can tell this architecture is really old, like World War II, maybe even before that era. And also interesting with this building right here, in a lot of in developing countries or poor countries, you tend to see buildings like this. North Korea, China's really developing quick, but you see a lot of these in poorer locations. Some countries in Africa, you kind of see that. So you can tell they're really trying to cram a lot of people in one area. And also, you're in a very industrial dilapidated area with the whole smokestacks. Anyways, so also you do have this like train station, which is, in terms of how it would be in real life, it's pretty small. Like most train stations would be a little, at least a little bit bigger than this. And we'll go more into detail about it later, but not later, but just kind of as we go. How video games, just in general, tend to compress time and space to add in as much detail as possible. Also, yeah, just continuing on. And in the beginning, if you noticed, I just didn't have time to talk about it and a note about it, is they kind of have wind effects where sometimes things will blow on the ground, which is kind of a nice touch, especially from a game this old. Again, you have the monitor of Breen and a lot of propaganda. And if you turn right before going over here, you kind of see the Vortigaunt, who you might remember from Half-Life 1. And you guys were kind of enemies, and it's kind of interesting that now you're both in the same position of being oppressed. Because he's pretty much doing all the dirty work while he just stands there. Anyway, so yeah, you can't go in. And now we're going to start getting introduced to the Combine guards and... And the game is great at this because it starts to introduce you to things very fast. You see the guard who is not scared to show any violence whatsoever and is shameless about it, and there's nothing you can do about it. So yeah, there's that. And also interesting that is the characters do interact with you as you kind of come through. You just go through the game in general. So we'll go talk to her, and yeah.
Overwatch stopped our train in the woods and took my husband for questioning. They said he'd be on the next train. I'm not sure when that was. They're being nice though, letting me wait for him.
City 17.
So yeah, you hear how she said that her husband was they took over her husband for questioning, which kind of goes to show that the regime, or in this game, just any tiny suspicion, they'll ask questions. Also, keep note of that because you'll notice, throughout the game, this is for people who played it, if not, spoilers, whatever. You know how the guards start looking because they're suspecting more people to come through, like they're looking for somebody. So you notice they're going to be questioning a lot of people throughout this, and they're just introducing this right here. And again, also one thing to note about this right here. So you see this vending machine, which is like Dr. Breen's private reserve. And it's even little details like this are important. So it introduces you to this vending machine, and I want you to pay attention to what happens as we walk over here and go to talk to people. They're already sowing, well, not sowing, but instilling ideas in your mind about the game right here already, about how the water reserve is, and a little bit about the food. So we'll continue. Then just notice the old phone. So you're getting a better idea for the architecture and maybe the time frame. I don't know. Or maybe the time frame humanity kind of got taken over in this particular universe.
Don't drink the water. They put something in it to make you forget. I don't even remember how I got here.
So see how he's talking about they put something in the water to make you forget, and the vending machine over here has a symbol of water on it, and it's already kind of getting you in the idea of that. So we're going to go talk to this guy over here, and he's going to talk a little bit about these.
See them go. They're always full. No one ever gets on, but they're always departing.
So
You never see them go. They're always full. No one ever gets on, but they're always departing, but they never arrive. They never leave.
So he's talking about how everyone's departing, which can mean several things with the universe of Half-Life. Most likely they get departed for being disobedient and or, well no, maybe they go to City 17 for being disobedient to be more controlled, or, just killed. But they may be going to labor camps, most likely going to labor camps, and I can't really imagine much else, just hard labor and control. And probably the people coming here would be people like Gordon Freeman, who can't really be controlled that well. So City 17 would be the most controlled part of this entire game because it's basically the mecca of everything. This is where Dr. Breen is, and we'll kind of go into that later. Just for the sake of time, we'll skip discussing with people, but...
Your suitcase too. They can't get away with this much longer. I'm working up the nerve to go on.
And also, one thing this game does is you reuse a lot of voice actors quite often, even though the models themselves are different. I guess that's kind of a thing for budget. Valve and all that really wasn't as huge as it is now. I mean, nowadays, had they made this game, they'd have voice actors for everybody, but unfortunately, back then, I don't think they had that convenience or ability.
Dr. Breen again? I was hoping I'd seen the last of him in City 14.
Welcome to City
This is
17.
base of operations.
So again, even right here, they're giving you information. That's Dr. Breen, and this is his area. This is where he rules. Just kind of nice that they sprinkled that in there. And as we approach this, you can see that there's some sort of line with a lot of guards, and it's going to show even more so the amount of control and just the tight grip this place has around your nutsack. And again, you can't really go anywhere but here. And this is kind of the game guiding you and telling you where to go. This obviously isn't very much of a sandbox game, but that's okay. And you notice how space has been compressed big time. A lot of these, places don't really make sense somewhat in the design of how it would happen. Ooh, don't hit me, bro. Don't taste me, bro. How it would happen in real life. So, yeah, made me lose my thought. Anyways, so now you come here, and the camera's taking pictures of you because utter and complete control. So they're cataloging everything you do. I'm sure most of the citizens probably have some sort of, tracking device on them. Well, you'd think they would, but probably not because of all the shit that goes down later.
Just like everybody else.
And another scripted event where he's talking about how, we just talked about, which means probably something pretty violent is going to happen in there. And keep that in mind, and they kind of instill it in your mind just like the thing where they did the water here when we go into this room. And you get greeted by blood on the floor around the chair. So pretty much those ideas are instilled in you, and kind of maybe gives the person playing somewhat of a point of view of, oh crap, I'm probably going to be tortured or something like that. And the cameras get retracted, and
About that beer I owed you. It's me, Gordon, Barney from Black Mesa. Hey, sorry for the
it's pretty cool they introduced him like this. So quickly you're introduced to the characters from the previous game.
I can't take too long or they'll get suspicious.
And you can see how the technology of the Combine is just integrated right into this, no problem.
I'm in the middle of a critical test. Sorry, Doc, but look who's here. Great God.
And even the facial animations for this are pretty phenomenal. For 2004, this is pretty darn good. In terms of most games, it hasn't gotten considerably better in the past whatever years it's been since, this type of animation really started appearing. With the exception of things like LA Noire and all that, but yeah.
We should be okay. Listen, I gotta go, Doc. We're taking enough chances as it is.
Very well. And, Gordon, good to see you.
Okay, Gordon. You're gonna have to make your own way to Dr. Kleiner's lab.
So this is where the action starts to begin to rise in the game. Notice how remember how the guards are looking for people. They saw someone come in here and they're probably wondering what's up because of the communication or whatever.
Keep going till you're in the plaza.
And probably it's implied maybe Breen just told them we ran off or something. So that might be why people will be looking for us later. I don't even know what I just said there. Anyways, also one thing that was cool about this game when it came out was just the physics engine was really nice. Even by today's standards, it's still pretty good. But for 2004, I think, when this came out, it's pretty sexy. Still holds up really well today. So now we are about to move on into the next stage. And I agree with pretty much everyone that praises this game for its level design, by how much detail they put into it and all that. But occasionally you get to see these, I don't know what to call it, things you have to forcefully do to make the game have the pace you need it to. Because you jump out of these windows down here, and what the hell is the point of this? Like, what? You'd think, if there was something like this, there'd be a small courtyard or something like that and other buildings, but there isn't. It's just a blank wall. So yeah, one of those little consequences about trying to cram as much information into as little amount of space as possible, and Half-Life's really known for doing that. And and many games nowadays tend to do this too. I think I was playing the demo of Resistance on the Vita, and I couldn't play it just because if any of you have a Vita, go play Resistance when you get a chance, or kind of look through the levels again and look at how everything's designed. It really doesn't make sense at all. But anyways, back to Half-Life. Now we're going to get to see more of the train station and the city, and this is really cool how things open up. Also note just the sound. Like you can hear the slight sound of air breezing through the bottom here, like there's a draft because it's such an old building. And also you can just hear a little bit of a faint speech in the distance. So yeah, the game's still directing you through. And here you get to see a little bit more of the Combine and just their flagrant and blatant abuse of power and beautiful choice that they would do something like this. So they're really trying, again, like I keep saying, to hammer away that this is oppressive with complete control, and they could pretty much kill anyone at any point and have no repercussions whatsoever. And again, now we're going to get to see more about the food situation. Before you saw how the water was, and now you get to get a little bit more detail about this. So
You'll have to wait your turn like everybody else. You're gonna be damn hungry to wait in line for this crap. I don't know about you, but I'm ready to join civil protection just to get a decent meal.
The line starts at the end. I don't know about you, but I'm ready to join civil protection just to get a decent meal.
So again, they're really trying to, as forcefully as they can say it, the food sucks. So probably the food is really crappy with not very many nutrients and probably stuff in it to make you pretty docile and not to have a whole lot of energy. So that's the thing. Also, one quick thing to note, I just want to talk about the game engine a little bit before we come out here because it'll become relevant. I just really love the way that they did normal mapping on textures, especially for back in the day. Everything just looks really crisp and beautiful, even nowadays. Sure, the texture resolution is pretty low, but it's still very nice. Lighting engine's really decent too, with the somewhat of a bloom effect. Just overall really good, beautiful lighting engine. And now's where we open the doors and get to see like something really epic. Also, Phantom Hand somehow opened the door. So when I saw, So when I saw this way back when, it just blew me away, and it still does now. It's like in Unreal, the first Unreal, when you hop off the Vortex Rikers and you see that huge environment around you, and it's just like, whoa. This is too, like you walk out after being in these really enclosed spaces with not really much information about where you are, what's happening, and what's going on to this. And just describing the architecture, it's just so old. Like you have an idea you're probably somewhere in Europe. By this red sign here, probably means there's some Soviet influence, or maybe you're somewhere with a Soviet influence at one point. And yeah, just the architecture is super, super old. And just an interesting combination having these two worlds of architecture combined. Pretty interesting how they had this thingy here scanning and watching this guy. Yeah, so if you're out in public, you just cannot talk at all. And these annoying things constantly taking pictures. And it is quite annoying, which is what they were intending, so good job on them. And we'll kind of explore a little bit more and then go and progress with the story. So lots of propaganda laying around, posters. Yeah, and we'll try and go in here and, again, describe a little bit more about just the oppression. So you try and walk in, the camera's like, oh, nope, you can't, and probably catalog that picture. So everything's being watched, so as events start to pick up and the guards are wondering, hey, there's somebody we're looking for, because they don't know who it is yet. They see me, but they don't know this is the person. So they start ramping up their searches for me as things go on. And we'll go over here, and as you can see, there's some sort of interrogation going on, but you can't get in to see it, and if you try, nope. And again, you see these guys over here at the car just chilling out. And also you get a preview of one of the Striders, which it's just epic. Don't know how other way to describe it than that when you first are playing the game and you see that and it's like, whoa, what? Also, kind of they dropped the ball with the background model. Like the texture resolution is pretty crap. I don't know why, but even back then you could probably get away with higher res textures, but that's another thing. And again, I can come up here, right? This is one of the things about games you have to kind of suspend belief just with films, just like films is walk over here, he hits me, right? And I can just walk in this back alley. Yo, what up? Nothing. I just love those little things in games. Like, there's nothing you can really do to get around them, or at least yet. Maybe the technology isn't there, but yeah. So we're moving on, and again, what I was talking about before, things are very violent. And again, you see that here, and probably they're dead. I mean, they're not moving. It's kind of a weird position for their legs to be in. Maybe they're alive, barely. But he doesn't want me to see that, so we're going to turn around and walk away. Do a 360 and walk away. Ha. And again, the design's just really weird. You have this like alleyway and this odd open area that doesn't... I guess it makes some sense. It's just weird.
That's how it always starts. First the building, then the whole block. They have no reason to come to our place. Don't worry, they'll find one.
So you are guided into this area, which is going to be searched pretty hardcore. And they're obviously trying to look for someone or something, but you don't know what, and it eventually kind of turns into you. Now there's an interesting event that's going to come up when we walk to this, so I'm just going to stop talking and I want you to listen. Just clever sound design to do something like this, which is playing the sounds of like children playing way back when this place used to be not, completely oppressed, when there's freedoms, just by adding the doll that's been there for I don't know how long. It's all creepy. Just clever little things like that, and it's all subconscious, so it's not forced into your face or anything like that. You just hear it and just subconsciously. So we're going to walk into our next save point, but that's just going to end this first part. So just to recap, right now... Oh yeah, I also forgot to mention this big frickin' building in the background. So when you walk out of City 17 originally, like before, you get to see this huge structure, which implies that that's probably the main headquarters of the bad guys, which is going to become really prominent later in the series. And just great that it's the first prominent thing that stands out when you see it. For whatever reason, I just forgot to explain it. So that's also another beautiful thing. And another engine thing I forgot to note, just the way the wires work in this game. I just found it really unique. Most games tend to use things like models and meshes to do it, but they have like this system in the editor where you just like create 2 points or whatever and it makes the wire. It's really clever. So yeah, we're going to enter the next part here soon, but that's the end of part 1, and thank you guys for watching. Please tell me what you think of... Anyways, that's it for this part. Please tell me what you think of the video so far. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say about Half-Life 2 and your kind of interpretation of the game, because it can be interpreted in different ways. It's not completely objective, which is nice. It doesn't do that type of thing. So yeah, that's part 1. Thank you guys so much for watching, and stay tuned for part 2.